Great. So very excited to be with you all. I have a deep, long-standing passion for UX. I saw Steve Krug's book, Don't Make Me Think, out in the hall. So that is, I think I read that in 2000, maybe 2001. I had just dropped out of college. I actually founded Moz with my mom, that is the, known in the venture capital world as the least likely startup founder combination. Mother and son. And what I wanted to try and do today is, I very much appreciate Joe's kind invite. I want to try and make the worlds of SEO and user experience more accessible to each other. So this is not a, hey, UX practitioners, this is what SEO is and this is why it's important, this is why you have to pay attention to it. I'll talk a little bit about that stuff. But rather when we make these two practices work together, we get awesome, remarkable results. They can be so happy together. I am going to, yes, all right. You can find this presentation online at bit.ly SEO UX together. So if you're worried that I'm moving too fast and there's a bunch of links, all of those are on the slide share and you can follow along there. And you don't have to worry too much. You can still take photos of the slides if you like. It's totally welcome, but darn it. This is, come on, baby. Come on. Oh, okay, well, this might be a little awkward. I'll just try and stay on the very edge here clicking. So it used to be back in the day, SEO and UX were enemies, sort of enemies. SEO, right, back in the late 90s, early 2000s, we were putting keywords everywhere, and of course, user experience professionals just couldn't deal with that at all, which is fair, right? We had to jam in lots of links and lots of text, which of course had UX professionals looking at websites like this and going, who cares if it ranks? What are people going to do when they get there? It's horrifying. We of course had a lot of requirements around static HTML only, because that was the only thing back in the day that Google could really parse and understand. They still struggle to a certain extent with a lot of complex JavaScript and those kinds of things. And user experience professionals would be like, but we can do so many amazing things. I don't know if you caught this piece on the avalanche here in Washington from the New York Times, but they did like this beautiful, absolutely stunning interactive piece. You can check it out via SlideShare. Yeah, right? It's just gorgeous. It's stunning, and it walks you through the experience. You come away from that story really understanding what happened, as opposed to just reading some paragraphs about it. But thank God, search engines evolved. Google got way smarter, and UX and SEO kind of had this convergence. In fact, the convergence, I would say, today is stronger than ever. I'll show you a little bit why. So in modern SEO, we have a few big goals, right? Things like we want to drive high-quality traffic from search engines. We want to help people understand, right, what they're seeking. We want to identify any missed opportunities that they might have to influence searchers. And we want to have a positive impact on the reputations that people have through search. Because, of course, Google controls a lot of our reputation. What you see on that first page of Google when you search for a brand or a website often impacts the rest of the relationship that you perceive yourself to have. And we're trying to create a lot of long-term value with very minimal risk, as opposed to the early days of SEO, where if you burn down one website by spamming Google too hard, you would just build up another one and get that same traffic. And modern UX, admittedly, as not a UX professional, I stole this from somebody else, far smarter than me on the topic. And so, help users accomplish their tasks easily and enjoyably, help organizations with user-influencing goals, positively impact access and reach for every potential user, which I love. If you follow me on Twitter, you might have noticed that I am very big about everyone having access and equality. Improve desirability. In fact, I think I'm wearing a, nevertheless. They were fast. Like, they made these shirts quick. And Gerald, my wife and I jumped on that. We were like, yes, I need 2 of those right now. There's a little feminist flag at the bottom. It's beautiful. And uncover potential needs and then fulfill, right? So these goals, the goals of SEO, the goals of user experience, they work beautifully together. They are a combination that help one another. That's a great thing. And actually, Google is sort of bolstering this with the way that their ranking systems work. So I thought I would take a little bit of time because I didn't know to what extent folks here at Convey might have kind of a great background on what Google is using to rank web pages today. And so I'm just curious, out of curiosity, would you raise your hand if you feel like you have a very strong, robust understanding of what Google uses to rank websites and web pages? Okay, a couple folks. I feel much better about the presentation I made. This is going to be, I'm glad I put this section in here. All right, so there's sort of strong influence, and I'm going to walk through these individually, right? But there's some strong influence stuff, and then there's some, they also have influence, but it's not quite as strong. You know, things like internal links and outlinks, right? The links that point out on a page and this type of stuff. So let's dive into what all of these things mean. All right. When I talk about accessibility, what I mean is if you block Google from crawling you, intentionally or unintentionally, you're going to have a bad time. For example, do you notice this? This was a multi-million-dollar campaign that Google did to help you figure out which Android phone you should buy. And they made a beautiful, lovely, interactive website that asks all sorts of questions and then figures out your provider and where you live. Fantastic. I don't know if you can read that description, but it says, a description of the, what is that? A description for this result is not available because of this site's robots.txt. That means the cobbler's children have no shoes. That means that Google themselves blocked their own crawler from their own web page. This is live right now. Like, it just boggles the mind, right? You just, I want to tell, you have to love it. You want to tell someone at Google, but it's very hard to get in touch with them. Like, they are not super active. No one I know at Google actually knew anyone who worked on this project. That's what you get with big companies. It's just tough. So you have to have accessibility. Like, that is the baseline. It's table stakes. OK, content relevance. Obviously, right? Wait, someone correct me if I'm wrong. I tried to get the pronunciation for this right yesterday. Ryokan? Ryokan. OK. I was listening to the little Google Translate person like say it, and it's just not, yeah. Ryokan. OK. So a ryokan, right, that's like a traditional Japanese lodging where they kind of do food in your room and a number of other things, including a lot of them around hot springs, and you have to get naked with your friends and go into baths. It sounds, I don't know, awesome. Yes, that's the word. Depends how comfortable you are with yourself and your friends, I suppose. But you can see in here, right, that like this is the page that ranks #1 for this query, and there's things in there that Google can pick up on. I really liked, there was a Googler named Gary Ilias who works on the Webmaster Tools team, and he mentioned the other day on Twitter, he said, if you were to read your content out loud and you had trouble understanding it or processing it, or other people did, chances are good Google wouldn't like it either. I like that, right? Like, the content needs to be, the relevance algorithms that they're using today are vastly superior to the ones they were using in yesteryear, where it was just about keyword matching and phrase-based matching. They know that when I say ryokan versus hotel, that something like a differences between is relevant, right? Same as words that are commonly found alongside ryokan, like tatami and yukata, onsen. So these are, tatami is the mat. Onsen is like the bath. I think kaiseki is the food, the dinner, or maybe the breakfast too.
Yukata is the robe.
Yukata is the robe, right? It's wonderful. Like, I have like a whole team assisting me. This is a team effort to understand the practices of Japanese hotels. I really appreciate it. There's also query keyword use, so that has not gone away. If you want to rank well in Google for something that someone searches for, it tends to be very smart for you to use the words and phrases, the same words and phrases that they're using. I think this matches up beautifully with UX, where, you know, in most of my experiences with UX professionals, we always talk about let's do things in the way users will best understand them. Let's frame things in the way that users do. And you can see same situation here. If you want to rank well, you tend to need to use the searcher's language in your title, in your description, on your pages. It's very unsettling if any of you have done a search on Google and you get back things and you're like, I am not totally sure whether that result will answer my query. It's even more unsettling when you click it and you get to a page and the headline doesn't match the thing that you clicked. That's even more unsettling. When you do that and you click the back button, by the way, that's called pogo-sticking. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a sec, but Google uses those engagement signals. External links, Google still cares a tremendous amount about these. There's a huge percentage of the SEO world that focuses on little else other than helping websites and web pages get more links to them from other sites on the web. Visitor engagement, like we talked about. So Google, I think they're looking at this in non-simplistic ways, right? So this is not something where you can, hey, if all of us, okay, that's not entirely true. If all of us, because we're all real users, if we were all to go search for example, Seattle wedding dresses, and we were to click on the 4th or 5th result, right, all together over the next few days, numerous times, chances are good that that 4th or 5th result would actually rise up in the search engines. And there's systems that people use, that spammers use to game this kind of crap, and it's always short term, right? It doesn't last. But over the long term, if you have content that is high engagement, that draws more clicks in, and that keeps them on your site, and that gets them going deeper and deeper into the path of your website, that will have a positive long-term effect. SEOs cannot achieve that without user experience optimization too. Like, we cannot, right? We need your help to do that well. That is core to our being. Site and URL structure, this matters as well, right? So the subdomain, the root domain, the subfolder, the totally unnecessary second subfolder with almost exactly the same name as the first subfolder. Why? And then the page, the path. Google actually does consider some ranking signals as deep as the subfolder level, right? So they might say, hey, it turns out that content on, what is this, ITB USA, actually this content, right, in the how about section looks really good to us. It gets lots of positive ranking signals, gets good links, does really well with users. Therefore, when new content pops into that subfolder, we're going to give it a little more of a benefit of the doubt. And that's a wonderful thing. What's terrible is many websites will do this thing where they put their blog on a subdomain, right? Or other parts of their website on subdomains. And then that will not help nearly as much as if it were all in the same root domain, subdirectory structure. And that really does suck. We see all the time. In fact, I've had so many companies who have moved their blogs or other parts of their site from a subdomain to the main root domain and seen rankings improvement overnight, right? Because the signals from each other cross-pollinate and help each other out. So big important piece there. Brand mentions and citations. This is particularly important in local, but we think we have reason to believe that Google is also using this in the main web results index. So this is what local results look like when you see that little map box and then the maps listings. Google doesn't just care about links to those, they also care about citations. Citations meaning mentions of the business's name along with the address and the phone number and sometimes the website, even without a link or with a no followed link, which Google wouldn't count. But those can be important as well. The brands that you see most talked about, a lot of times when you do a search, you find exactly what you expected, right? So if you're very familiar with a city and you know all the best Thai restaurants there, and you do a search and you see, that's weird, like the first 2 or 3 are kind of the exact ones that me and all my friends would mention. That is because Google has sort of sussed that out through the popularity of those business names on the rest of the web. We talked a little bit about engagement. One of the things that Google cares deeply about, and we can see examples of this, and we've done tests on it too, is click-through rate and pogo-sticking. So for example, let's say I really want to jump off stage, but then I feel terrible because you're going to be, can you follow me over there?
I will try.
He will try. Go, Jan, go. All right, so hi, everyone on this. I'll do this like over there too. Oh, sorry. So here we go. I search for what's the best instant ramen, and then I click on, where's the result here? Oh, Lucky Peach. I click on this second result. And then I go over here, and I look at this, and I'm like, that chart is just not helping me. Like, that doesn't tell me what the best one is. I want like a list. Tell me which one to buy. I am at the store. Don't show me a big graphic that takes forever to load on my mobile device. So I click back, and instead I click on the ramen raider. Over time, what happens? Ramen raider moves up, Lucky Peach moves down. You can observe this pretty directly. Like, this is a thing. This is a thing that, thank you so much, you rock, that Google really does do. If lots of searchers are clicking those lower down results, and you can entice them, you can entice your description, your snippet to be more engaging, more enticing, they will rise up over time. And this is a wonderful, wonderful reason to put the best practices of user understanding and user research and user experience to work in the snippet, which generally speaking, SEOs are crafting, right? So it used to be like, when SEOs did this, we just stuffed keywords in there. Now we need to write something that's like an advertisement, right? That gets people to click. Hopefully that still uses their keywords, because that is something users care about too, and search engines do. But we need to draw that click, and we need to keep people on our sites. If they click that back button and choose somebody else, we are in a world of hurt. All of our other efforts, our links, all the improvements we've done to SEO, useless. Internal links, so we're getting into the section of like matter a little bit less, but internal links are still used by Google. This is one of the reasons SEO professionals will often encourage designers and developers and people who are putting together websites to include internal links. This is something that Google does follow these. It's very tough to get indexed, to get pages even into Google if you don't have good links to them on your site. The outlinks that you have matter, so meaning these links that point out from websites to other websites. My favorite example of this, the New York Times, this was, I think it was almost 6 years ago now. The New York Times had a policy for the first decade and a half of their online operations where they would not link out to anyone. They just wouldn't. It didn't matter really who you were. They changed that policy, and when they did and updated a bunch of their content with links to the places that they should be pointing to, their rankings went up. Like, not quite overnight, but within month one, and every piece of content that they produced thereafter did, statistically speaking, a little bit better by having those outlinks on it. So if anyone ever tells you, oh, we shouldn't link out to anything because of SEO, you should say, BS, you should link out to things because of users, because of engagement, and because of SEO. There is no reason not to link out, unless it's spam, in which case Google will look at spam outlinks, right? Outlinks to bad places on the web and interpret those very poorly, and those will reflect in your rankings. So that's not the only spam signal, though. There are lots of them. This is from Marie Haynes, who's sort of an SEO expert in the world of spam, web spam. And one of the things that you might see are hacked websites, right, that have all sorts of, it seems like most of the internet spam is all about helping dudes who have performance issues in one way or another. Like, I'm not sure exactly what that is about, but that seems to be like the chief spam system. It's Viagra and Cialis. We call it PPC, porn, pills, and casinos. Like those are that's like the doom and gloom of the spam world. And so actually, if you'd like, you can see if your website's been hacked by doing a nice site search like this. But there are other spam signals too, right? If Google perceives that you're involving yourself with link networks or you're buying a bunch of links to try and game your rankings, they hate that stuff. Mobile friendliness, this became a ranking signal about a year and a half ago, maybe a little bit more than that now. And basically, Google has a great mobile friendliness checker. They used to show the little mobile friendly icon in the actual results. They don't show that anymore, but they are still using it as a small ranking factor. But certainly, you can imagine that even if mobile friendliness itself is only a tiny piece of the algorithm, remember that lots of people will click that back button after seeing that your site is not mobile friendly, which will hurt you much more, right? So this is like a double whammy. It's not just mobile friendliness itself. Same story with page load speed. Load speed itself, very tiny ranking factor, but load speed in terms of user experience, huge, and load speed in terms of people staying on a site and engaging with it, big as well. Google also really wants the web to be secure and to use HTTPS, and so they've made that a small ranking factor. What we've observed with HTTPS has been pretty consistent, which is when you make the move, when you switch from HTTP to HTTPS, you have to make a bunch of redirects happen, right? So all the non-secure versions have to repoint to the secure versions of the URL. Google, when these moves happen, does not instantaneously overnight pick those up perfectly every time. Most of the time, what we see is a period of slightly depressed rankings and search traffic, followed by a slightly higher than it was previously. So that valley of the switch is something you should expect if you're moving over to HTTPS. There's also a couple of conditional ranking elements like temporal factors. So this would be basically if you've done a search for Uber lately. What did I do? Uber culture? Uber sexism? Same thing. If you do a search for this, right, like they are not going to show you articles from 6 months ago or 2 years ago, even if those have all the other ranking signals that are much more powerful than these, right? These things were published a day ago, 11 hours ago, 3 days ago. Why are they ranking in there? Because Google basically has this algorithm called QDF, Query Deserves Freshness, and that gets triggered when there's basically a spike in search volume and an interest in very fresh content. So when a news item happens, something pops in the news around a topic that your audience cares about, you have a great opportunity right then to publish content about it because you don't need to compete with tons of people who have very powerful sites and lots of links and high engagement. You can pop right in here. That's a great thing to keep an eye out for. They also have claimed they've started using accuracy factors. I've been a little troubled about this one. So there was a great NPR piece. This was, I think, in late 2015. So it's been a year and a half, almost 2 years. And they interviewed some Google search engineers who are working on results based around accuracy. Not quite in time to save humanity, but they have been working on it. If you do a search for something like, do vaccines cause autism? In fact, I don't know if everyone gets this, but when I search for how do, that is the first suggested thing, because lots and lots of people search for how do vaccines cause autism. Americans are like conspiracy theory nuts. It's just amazing. We really do love it. Although I keep having a fight with my wife about, like, was Kennedy really killed through a conspiracy? Were there like tons of people involved in the thing and somehow I don't know. That seems like keeping secrets is hard. For 50 years, that's hard. Okay. So of course, this website that ranks here, howdovaccinescauseautism.com, like had me really scared. But then I clicked on it and, oh. Well, thank God. Like that's actually not that terrible a result. I think Google doing a good job with accuracy, ranking things. Number one, hopefully keeping lots of poor sick kids who can't take vaccines, keeping them safe. Okay. Another big thing that Google uses and that a lot of people talk about, especially in regards to user experience, because there are user experience reasons, credible ones, convincing ones, compelling ones that I have heard for why you should have multiple versions of the same piece of content. For example, a print version, right? Lots of people still print out articles, or a version for older browsers, or a version that is different because of the location in which it's being loaded, right? And it has some specific stuff to the location or the time or whatever it is, right? Google does not penalize duplicates. They do not penalize you for having duplicates. What they do is they filter them out. They basically say, hey, we're only going to show one version of this. The reason that you sometimes hear the word penalty is because in the SEO world, it is the case that the ranking elements, right, the ranking signals that point to multiple versions won't necessarily get consolidated into the one version that you want. And that is frustrating, right? Like, so you are losing something through that. But it's not a true penalty. There's a way around that. It's called the rel canonical tag. So if you have multiple versions of the same or very similar pages, you can use the rel canonical tag to tell Google and all the other search engines, hey, this is the version that I want. Okay. If you have lots of thin content, it is a different story. I wish duplicate content didn't have the penalty association and thin content did, because we have seen so many instances over the years of people essentially combing through their content, looking for stuff that doesn't engage users and doesn't do well, removing it from their site or blocking Google from accessing it, and then seeing the rest of their site's rankings rise. So Google clearly cares about the quality of the content as a whole, right, across the entire website. Yeah. Okay, oops. So we went through all of our ranking factors. This is not everything in the book. There are many, many things that can go into it, but this should give you like a broad concept, all right? Hopefully you can walk out of here and be like, it would be hard to pull the wool over my eyes about SEO, right? And that is something I really want to do. I do not want you to go talk to some shady SEO practitioner, of which there are still plenty. Not the majority by any means, but there's still plenty. If you get an email in your inbox that's like, we noticed you don't rank #1 on the Googles for this, do not reply. It's just like any other form of spam. Just don't do it. All right. So I want to ask this question, but I also want to ask the question, how can SEOs get more value from user experience professionals? So let's walk through this first, and then we'll walk through the other one. First off, I think it's important to recognize that Google is often the first page of your website. That is, for many people, that is actually your home page. You don't think it's your home page, but a quarter of the time, if not more, it is your home page. Go look at your search traffic, go look at your traffic sources, and you will see that Google is very, very frequently 25, 30, 40%, sometimes even 50 or 60% for many websites. This is across the entire web. This is SimilarWeb's data, right? And they're essentially showing that social, which has had a tremendous amount of activity, social is actually down a little bit from where it was last year, and search is up. Why is social down? Because Facebook's goal is to keep you on Facebook's website, right? Facebook wants you on Facebook. They don't want you clicking over to other people. That's why they have all the, the instant articles and the Facebook browser and like everything is stay on Facebook. Don't put other people's posts on there. Only show stuff from your friends. You wanted to look at cute baby pictures and memes, right? Okay, good. Go to Facebook. You can control the brand's experience with SEO, right? So I think one of the things that a user experience professional gets frustrated with the most is when you don't get to have control or ownership of things that you know impact people's experience, right? And one of those is Google, and SEO can help, right? People in my world can help you show up here in the ways that you want. We can help you with this, this panel over here, the knowledge graph, and the site links up here, and the tweets that appear, and the suggestions, and the related searches, and all of it, right? That is what SEO is here to do. Second, we've got to serve people the content that they want, and SEO can help tell us the content that people want, specifically through keyword research, right? That tells us what folks are looking for in our field around our content. And by looking at relative volume and phrasing with which people search, we can get a great concept of how we can better serve their needs. For example, bartending. Dear God, you should try it sometime, but get ready for your eyes to bleed. Search for Seattle bartending schools and click on any result. Literally any result on the first page. Yelp is okay, but every other one, you're going to be like, oh my God, it's like I've time traveled back to 1996 and someone used a bad copy of Front Page. That's super scary. So if you see, right, that you are offering bartender certification, but people are searching 10 times more for things like classes and schools, it might be time to rethink your copy, right? And rethink the searcher intent behind that and how you can serve those folks. We also want to not just serve them the content they want, but serve it in the way that they want. And search data can give us that too. So Google, one of the beautiful things that they do is they will show different features in the search results based on the query that's happened. And so if we see that people have searched for bar tools and then Google's offering, a very, is that last one, is it just me or is that like really big bottle? You need a bottle to be a bartender. I am not totally sure. Like I have this feeling that bottle happened to appear in the text a bunch of times and then Google's system like crawled the web and saw it. Anyway, okay, all right. Enough making fun of Google. The fact that there are so many visual results in here suggests that there are a lot of people searching for visual stuff because Google will take away those images from the front page of the search results if no one clicks and engages with them, right? And so the types of results that show up, if you see video showing up, that means people want and engage with video. If you see lots of video showing up very highly, that probably means there's also a ton of searches on YouTube, and you should consider making some content that you can put on YouTube. You can use a tool, Moz Explorer does this, one of our competitors is very good with this, is Ahrefs. And they have a keyword tool that does this as well, but it'll kind of show you which features show up frequently for all of the keywords that you care about, and then you can help optimize toward that. Number 4, SEO. If you are having a tough time making the case for user experience investments, SEO can help you make that case, because UX improvements will help rankings, will help traffic. And that is a beautiful thing. And search traffic is some of the highest converting, if not the highest converting traffic on the web. And so generally speaking, upper management in most organizations cares deeply about conversions and acquisition. And that is something where you can say, if we invest in UX, we can get rankings. The rankings will lead to traffic. I can show you. Beautiful. We know that Google uses these user engagement data to rank content. Google's even said so publicly, thanks to Paul Harr, who's a great Google engineer. We talked about it. I hate bullet points. Like, I will never put bullet points in slides. I'm only stealing his slides. He's allowed to do it because he's in software engineering. And you can see that they're doing that. All right, so flip the question. What about SEOs? How are they going to get more value from UX? Well, there's a bunch of things that we get from y'all. So this is sort of the SEO pyramid, right? Generally, I'm going to say generally agreed upon. Technically, I made this, but I made this from a bunch of aggregation of work of lots of other people. And you can see right there, I'm just saying, right? User experience, it's right in the middle of that pyramid. Got to have it. UX can help us find and remove points of friction, areas of a website that are preventing people from accomplishing their goals. And when people accomplish their goals, they rank higher, we get more conversions, search traffic is viewed more valuably, we get paid more, we get all our promotions and everything else. Second, user experience can help us find and eliminate content that's failing to help people, right? If we can't improve it, we can get rid of it. And getting rid of it in the SEO world is actually a really good thing. That the cruft of a website, removing the cruft of a website, can have dramatic positive impacts. Number 3, we, as search engine optimization professionals, think a lot about rankings, and we think a lot about the traffic that comes. But we need to be thinking about the whole journey. The ranking, the click from Google is just the start of that journey, right? This is, that was fast. It sort of animates in sometimes. Oh yeah, look at that, see? Look at that beautiful, it actually doesn't really add anything. I'm going to rethink my animations, and I'll come back next week, same time. No, I'm in Munich. Week after. You won't be here, right? It'll just be me in a lonely room. I'll make Jan come. It'll be great. We'll have a great time. But we want to enable the searcher's full journey, right? Like, this is a big goal for us. And that is Google's ultimate goal. Google's ultimate goal, they don't want people to do this big thing where they're like visiting a ton of websites and doing a bunch of searches over there. What they want is the, Larry Page, I think, called it the computer from Star Trek, right? We want, someone does one search, we know enough about everything that they want or could possibly desire to serve them everything right then and there, and then they can complete their task. And this is really kind of at the core of user experience as well. And so to the degree that you can help us accomplish what Google wants to accomplish, we can be the answer Google's seeking. That means we can rank number 1. That means we can get all that traffic. Beautiful. If Google sees that lots of people are performing these kinds of queries, like we can observe this now, right? They're looking for ramen noodles. Can you tell what I eat when I stay home and work on presentations? And that eventually they all end their query on the Ramen Rater. Google often will take that data, and even if Ramen Rater doesn't have any of the other ranking signals or is lacking many of the other ranking signals to the degree, they'll move them up in the rankings. So that full, complete journey, that task accomplishment, that is a big deal. And that is something user experience folks can help us with in the SEO world. All right, last but not least, SEO needs to balance some competing goals, occasionally competing goals, and some of those are often around conversions. So for example, one of my favorite examples, or least favorite, do you go to a lot of websites like in the marketing world, in the conversion optimization world, in the SEO world, and they have this, it's called the negative opt-out pop-up, Do you know what I'm talking about? Where it's basically like you visit a site and you're scrolling down, you're reading, you think it's interesting, and then it pops up and it says, do you want to become a better marketer? And then you say, yes, sign me up. And you have to give them your email address. Or no, I'm the worst person in history. And then, and then a second pop-up comes up and it's like, well, worse than Stalin? And you have to be like, yes, really, worse than Stalin. And then it'll let you keep reading the article. I hate that crap. Hate it, hate it, hate it. But it does work in that, it sort of works, right? It works in that it gets more conversions to the email per person who sees it versus a regular pop-up or no pop-up at all. But it sucks in that it drives away a lot of traffic because many people, myself included, often just click the back button, right? And so I think that the SEO world and the UX world need to work together to help balance the, do I want traffic, do I want a positive user experience, or do I need to aggressively pursue conversion at all costs? All right. Thankfully, there are not very many, we only have a couple minutes left, but not very many tensions that still exist, like literally just 4 or 5. And I'll briefly walk you through those. First one, keyword use versus natural language. This does happen. I'm actually using, sorry, I've totally spaced on their name. Sorry? Pendo, yes, Pendo, because they're a sponsor here at ConveyUX, and I was checking them out last week when I was investigating analytics platforms. And so Pendo describes what they do in a different way than people search for it. And that means, generally speaking, Pendo is not on page 1 or 2 or 3 of Google for most of the terms that I could reasonably come up with around product analytics and in product analytics and that kind of thing. This is a tension that we just have to make a choice on, right? If branding is more important to you than the potential search traffic, and if you care a little bit less about how users are describing what you do than how you want to describe what you do, that is okay. I'll give you an example. Many years ago, BMW was working with an agency friend of mine, an SEO agency friend of mine, and they basically said, hey, we need to be using the words used cars on these pages. That's what people search for. And BMW was adamant, no, we're going to create new terminology of pre-owned vehicles. We are creating this terminology. That's what it's going to be called. They, in fact, did far better than they would have with just the search traffic. Like, they did create the category. All the luxury vehicles started using that language. Everyone went around to them. So it's your call, right? And you have to balance that trade-off. Great versus done. So this is a world where I often see SEOs say, just ship it, and UX folks say, I don't think so. That is not ready to go live. We have not tested that. It does not work. Again, a trade-off that has to be made, a compromise that has to be reached. Third, consolidation versus segmentation. So it is the case a lot of the time that there, like we talked about, are reasons to have multiple pages with the same types of content. So this is Pendo's like help content. They have many sections of their site, and I think some of them are, because you're in different areas of the website or they're around different topics, that makes sense, right? That faceted sorts of navigation, faceted sorts of content. But from an SEO perspective, this really hurts. We wish we could consolidate all the signals and just have one page, one URL that was trying to rank for this search term so that we wouldn't have to split up all the equity from those ranking signals across multiple pages. Oops. And the last one, internal linking and navigation. So if you hear from SEO folks that, hey, we want to add these internal links, I know that we don't think that users will click them very often, but they're important to get these pages indexed or to have Google associate them with things, then that's another trade-off conversation that has to be had. Beyond these, the beautiful part is we can kind of get along really beautifully. All right, my last example that I wanted to walk through here is someone who does, in my opinion, user experience phenomenally well and could be getting thousands, tens of thousands more visits every month if they just invested a little bit in SEO as well. Doesn't even have to be a compromise. You can get the best of both worlds. This is 538. Many of you are probably familiar with them. So they do this wonderful, these wonderful graphics and charts and data around all sorts of topics. Many of them are political or social in nature. This one is around gun deaths in the United States. And so they have this little graphic here when you go to the page that shows one gun death. And then they will show you, these are the gun deaths from, terrorism, mass shootings, police officers killed in the line of duty, and police shootings of civilians, which get, the vast majority of the news. But that is suicides, right? And so as you walk through this presentation, you get a real idea of like where gun deaths happen, and it's an emotional experience walking through data. I love that. I think that's so powerful. I think the UX here is just brilliant. These are gun homicide victims, and the vast majority of these, unfortunately, are domestic violence. It turns out, tragically, husbands are like 1,000 times more deadly than terrorists, which is a crappy stat that I wish we could change. But Google cannot parse this information. Google cannot parse that page. They can't access the content on it. And so, even though this page has gotten phenomenal rankings, look, it's actually ranking right there, right? Like that's it at basically organic #1. But Google's featured snippet comes instead from Wikipedia. Why? Because Google can parse out that content, and so they show that here. And our click-through rate estimations suggest that this is getting 3 to 4 times the traffic that they are right here. If they had just taken a couple of those paragraphs and made them text content and put them high up on the page, even below that graphic, they could rank. They could have that featured snippet. This is one of those like no-brainer, no trade-off. Beautiful, beautiful thing. Every time there's tension that we've found between UX and SEO, there's 10 times more opportunity for them to work together and be so happy together. This is me and Geraldine. Now just the sheep. Ba 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 ba. Okay, thank you very much. Cheers.